You got to have a clear mission in any business, and you could easily just say your purpose is fulfilling your mission. I think that great businesses probably have those separate and understand the difference of them, if that makes sense.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is John Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
We're going to talk about purpose, not in the way that you have heard us talk about it before, but we're going to talk about realizing your company purpose with the co-founder of OJO Labs. They were number 49 on the Inc. list this past year, massive growth. And John Berkowitz talks about what purpose really is and how it's different from mission. We also look at how do you get people aligned around the purpose and what is the purpose of purpose? That's pretty meta, right? Well, today's episode will be thrilling for you because you'll get a real solid understanding of how purpose is interwoven throughout their company and why it's created such growth. And it's probably not what you think. In fact, we talk about friction, we talk about resistance, we talk about the things that are getting in the way, but that's what makes this company better. So a very interesting interview that I think you'll find helpful in your journey to being a better leader. Now, I want to pause right here for a second because if you're thinking about what does it take to be a more connected leader, a more empathetic leader, more visionary or strategic, whatever the word you put with it. Do you have a plan? Do you know what's absolutely next for you? Do you have a game plan that allows you to follow that without question and have clarity? Well, my hope is that you do have the clarity to become the leader that you really want to be, to become extraordinary. Your people deserve it. Your company deserves it. Your customers deserve it. Your partners, your families, everyone deserves you being a stronger, more powerful leader. And I want to help you do that. My job as an executive coach is to help founders, CEOs, and their teams to continue growing, but also figure out what does it take to be a powerful leader that you want to be and that you need to be in this journey of your business. If you want to reach out to me and have a conversation about what's going on, just go to johnhammett.com and schedule your call. I'd love to help you become an extraordinary leader, help you really figure out what that plan is. Again, you don't have to work with me because we'll lay it out there. I'll help you figure out what's next. And if you want me to help you, I'll be happy to talk about that. But if you want to take that plan and run with it and come back down the road, let me know how you've progressed. Just go to johnhammett.com, schedule your call. Now here's the interview with John. John, how are you?
I am great, Gene. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. We're having a great conversation today about realizing your purpose. Before we jump into that, I'd love for you to tell us about your company, number 49 on the Inc. list this past year, and it really is impressive growth. Tell us about, is it OJO?
It is OJO. Yeah. OJO Labs, founded in 2015 by myself and my co-founder, David Rubin. And we have been methodically building and assembling all of the parts to deliver in almost every zip code in the US and about 60% of Canada, every service you need as a consumer to navigate the home journey. So whether you want to dream about what home you're going to buy in 5 years or find the perfect home for your family next week, to getting connected with really great vetted real estate agents, finding the right loan solutions, getting you into that home, and then helping you manage the home. We've assembled a platform that delivers upon all of those promises for consumers in the US and Canada.
John, as you know, one of the things I love to do is figure out what makes companies grow so fast. One of them is being purpose-driven or mission-driven. Do you use those words interchangeably, or is it, you see a difference?
Yeah, it's a super good question. Yeah, I think there's definitely a difference, and I would not take one over the other, if that makes sense. You got to have a clear mission in any business, and you could easily just say your purpose is fulfilling your mission. I think that great businesses probably have those separate and understand the difference of them, if that makes sense.
Help us understand that with your company. What's the difference between the mission and the purpose?
Yeah, I think the mission, you walk in my office here in Austin, Texas, and written on the wall is to empower people to make better decisions through the fusion of machine and human intelligence. That's been written on our wall since we started the company. It's what we do every day, is kind of applying technology, unique business strategies, great consumer experiences, data, human experts, all combined to help you as a consumer make a better decision. That's what we're doing. That is what we're going to go do. That's been carrying us. The first couple of years, that was the purpose. Inspiring is a big business. Over the last, I think, 18 months, there is a separate purpose that is not mutually exclusive from that at all and very complementary. We refer to it as leveling the playing field in housing, and that is applying the playbook that is leading us on that mission to deliver something bigger, which is we think really changing the fabric and experience of one of the most important purchases the consumer will ever make. But it is a different set of goals, all going in the same direction, but something bigger than just profits and investor returns.
So this was all the setup to what we're really talking about here today, which is realizing the company's purpose. I know how important that is to growth of a company, but you guys have grown, almost 6,800% in the last 3 years. Why is that so important to growth?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I had a company before this that also showed up high on Inc. list and had high growth, but I think purpose was just not as woven into it. And again, as I said, I think we were always doing this for the right reasons, but I think our purpose in the earlier part of this company was not as big as it is now, and we've seen accelerated growth. I think it's an accelerant. Once you have the foundation, it's an accelerant because it pushes you and your team, you as a founder and your team, executives, all the way down to kind of all constituents in your company. It pushes you further with more accountability, which leads to growth. And give you a tangible example of that. In this pursuit that we'll talk about in ours, I imagine, of our purpose, we have bought companies in places that would have seemed probably ridiculous based on our size. We have negotiated with foreign governments, which would seem ridiculous based on our size. We have opened up centers in a couple weeks period when we'd all been overwhelmed in foreign countries where none of us spoke the language. We've done things totally different and changed business models, which were counter to short-term profits. And that has led to really, really exceptional growth, but wouldn't have been the easiest and most clear path had we not had the purpose driving us. And I think it's that when you have a bigger purpose to your company, you will go through more complicated, more gutsy, more creative solutions to achieve your goal because you have to, than if you were just chasing your simple, 12-month calendar returns as a business, if that makes sense, which I think leads to a bigger company over the long haul.
Absolutely. You said something there. I want to make sure we don't miss this, but the purpose is woven throughout the company and it's who we are. What we see inside your organization as it relates to this being woven in?
Yeah, friction is what you'll see. Friction, insecurity, accountability, questioning. So we know we have a great business. That is just a mathematical fact, as evidenced by some of the stats that you've shared. We know our economics. We know we have a great business. What we're never certain of is, are we doing enough with the purpose? And we have this woven into us almost as a deep insecurity. Are we doing enough? Are we making enough progress? And it leads to people questioning decisions continuously and pushing through new ideas on how to do that from all angles on the company. And so it builds momentum around, it's less about are we doing good things? It's are we doing enough good things and the right good things at any given time? And it just leads to a constant I was going to say evolution, but it's optimization of the business for the purpose. Are we knocking down enough barriers for consumers? Are we solving the right problems? Are we solving the problems in the right way? Because the goal that we've set out for and the purpose that we've assigned ourselves is so damn big. Nobody ever, frankly, over the next 10 years is going to be like, oh, we got it figured out. And so you're always waking up and being like, is that right? And validating and questioning from all corners of the business. I think an outsider might come in and be like, this is one skeptical, really critical group of people, but they're all doing it for a really healthy reason. Maybe lack of satisfaction shows up a lot. You'd be like, man, from the outside, the company sure looks like it's winning, but on the inside, they're pretty darn critical of themselves. But probably not lost on you that the flywheel of traction that can build when you get that into your culture.
It's not what I expected to hear, being honest with you. I expected a little bit maybe fluffier answer, but when you said friction, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. It reminds me of
Gene, it's exhausting. But what's interesting in the Great Resignation, I'm deathly afraid it's going to show up to our doors. Our people are overworked and overwhelmed with high friction jobs, but none of them are leaving. All of them are strengthening their conviction. And so there's something magical there, right? Yes, I want to give more days off and make their jobs easier and love on them like every other CEO, but there's something in the purpose that's driving them greater. That means that even though it's probably higher stress, more challenging job, there's something underlying that's not tangible that's keeping us making that progress every day. It's super interesting.
Now, John just talked about the Great Resignation. You've probably heard about this in the news. You've made some plans, but here's the way I know that you've got to move forward. And there's 3 critical components to it. I'll lay them out there very simply. If you want to get more details, just reach out to me. I'd love to help you with it. The first one is the shift to leading powerfully. You've got to lead powerfully through whatever's in front of you. You've got to lead with intention and confidence and courage. Leading powerfully will help you create the space for the company to grow and navigate the Great Resignation and the things that are coming, but it'll also give you the space to create an awareness and growth amongst the individuals that you are in care of. The second shift you got to make is really around inspiring ownership. You want people to feel like they're a part of something bigger than just a job, not just trading time for money, that they're a part of something. They have a sense of ownership. You don't have to have financial tools like ESOPs or profit sharing or options or anything like that. You can do this by structuring the conversations, the rhythm at which you actually engage people and empower people. And that is something that you want to make sure that you're doing. And inspiring ownership is very critical if you want the company to really grow beyond where it is today. And then finally, I think you want to get a coach. A lot of people, I think, are very afraid to ask for a coach. You don't have to work with me. I don't need you to pander to me and don't need your help. I say this confidently because I know those that want help, that feel connected to what I'm doing, they will get the benefit. And for you, it might be someone else that you go after. But I see the value of getting a coach because most people don't have a sounding board. They don't have someone that they can go to and talk about the things that they need to get clear about. And this is a big part and a benefit of coaching. There's many other benefits to help you shift perspectives and reframe things and give you tools and help you through the challenges that you've got to go through, because we've been through them before with clients and with our own businesses. But when you get a coach, the right coach, you will have someone that you feel connected to. You will have a place where you have conversations. You leave each one of those with more clarity than before. Now, all of this is in context of the Great Resignation. If you have the capacity to lead powerfully, to inspire ownership, and you have the right coach, I think you'll navigate this storm pretty well. Back to John. I appreciate you going through that with us. When you look at this, it sounds to me like this moonshot, right? Something that might not be impossible to get to because of the way you guys have framed it, but the journey is worth that journey. The work toward that journey is worth it. Is that what you feel like is this is the moonshot?
Super interesting. I think I love space. It's probably closer to a Mars shot, and now even
Okay.
with our friend Elon and Bezos, Mars might not even be the right, like we might be on Europa now. So it's called a Europa shot. And I think it's right. And I think you have to have a purpose that's directionally going to take you through really important deliveries, because there's no doubt we're going to land on the moon. That's a fact in this business. We're going to land on the moon. And frankly, I think we have a very high odds of landing on Mars. Europa, maybe not in my lifetime. And Europa in my business would be the equivalent of, we have a number internally, 100 out of 100. For every 100 people that show up to our door today looking for help in the home journey, we serve every single one of them. That's a Europa shot. But the important thing is that we make progress every day that makes a better business and a better world chasing Europa. We will land on the moon. We will make a better experience than exists in real estate. I'd bet my life on it at scale. That will mean more North American families have better real estate experiences. I don't know if we will ever get to this number internally, 100 out of 100, but the path is the same, if that makes sense. And it pulls you forward in the typical moonshot sort of way.
I love your passion around this. And I want to ask you this question. I always feel like this mission that you're on and the purpose that you're really living is you're not just hiring people for a job. You're inviting them on the mission with you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're in agreement with that. So how do you invite people to join us? We're a little skeptical. There's going to be a lot of friction and you'll probably be exhausted in this journey, but you're going to really enjoy it. How do you make that business case?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I have like and it's not like a repertoire. It is just naturally formed over time where when I am trying to bring you on, the first thing I do is kind of sell you on, it's a big opportunity. And this is something I go through in every new hire class, which is if you are the ruthless capitalist that when the Coinbase founder came out and said, screw values, screw mission, whatever he said, like just rock and roll and be for profit, you are actually welcome in OJO. And that is totally cool. And as long as you are working on the values and what we do, that personality is welcome here. But you must know that we are actually building really valuable solutions that are going to change the world. And so as long as as you're not against that, I don't care if you're here just for the really good money. On the other side, for the people that were debating, should I join a nonprofit or should I join OJO? Welcome here. But also know this is a for-profit company that I believe we have a bigger impact if we are obsessed on shareholder return. And the nice thing is that OJO is equipped with both. And so I go through that when I'm recruiting you, explaining that this company has found a really perfect balance of both. Then I scare the crap out of you and tell you how hard it is and tell you that you can't do it. It's like a scary sandwich. And if you still are like in it with me, then I try to close out, whether it's the first call, the second call, or the third call, reminding you that life's too short not to work on great businesses that actually do legitimate good work in the world. But it's kind of both, because you're not going to get anybody's attention by being like, hey, I have this super hard, really high friction job that you're going to feel unfulfilled in for the next 3 years. That's not a compelling sales pitch. But if you put it in the package of really understanding what people want, you'd be surprised. I think a lot of people are searching for what we have. They just don't realize it. But there's a lot of people that when you go through that pitch, you disqualify or they disqualify themselves, which is absolutely, I would say, more important than getting the right people on is keeping the wrong people off. Some people do that through really high, screenings and lots of hoops. Other people do it through discipline, vetting practices, my style. And we have kind of both of those things I just said throughout the organization. My personal style is like high truth and deep conversation to figure out me deciding, Gene, are you the right person for this journey, as much as you determining you're the right person for this journey.
Now, John just talked about a scary sandwich. Now, your job is not just to convince people to work for you. Your job is actually the opposite. You want to repel people. John's talked about this a little bit inside this episode, but I want you to really understand that your job is not to get people to work with you and convince them and pull them in and entice them with promotions or bonus or responsibility or a sense of ownership. Your job is actually to repel people, and you want to repel the wrong people. The best advice I can give you as a leader is to make sure that you're hiring the right people. And that means you're not hiring the wrong people. The wrong people will cost you time, stress, money, and it will take you away from what you're trying to create. So you want to repel the people that are not meant to be on the mission with you. Just a word of advice, perspective that I want you to take in and heed as you continue to grow your business. Now back to John. I love the energy you bring to this and the clarity you have. You mentioned values as a part of the organization, and I know that you've kind of gone back and forth. You're a little contrarian to some of these things, so I have no idea what you would say, but would you say that values are important to how you guys organize and get work done?
Totally. Yeah, I think values are super important. We actually changed values. We had a core value around never fail anyway but forward, and now we have that as a concept, not a value, and we replaced it with earn trust. We did that about 2.5 years ago. Usually you put your values on, you say them enough that you believe they're the best, you don't really question them. I think values have to be part, a great organization is a living, breathing organism. And it is not manifest destiny that it's going to be crappy, and it's not manifest destiny that it's going to be great. And you have to tend to it and realize that it's changing all the time. Values are, the smile on an organization or the heartbeat, they're a part of the organism. They are not the silver bullet, because there are no silver bullets. It's a portfolio approach. And so values are super important, and you need to respect them, nurture them, call BS when you don't see them. I think some people write them on walls and say, we have values. And then really when you unpack it, they're not living them at all. And then others use them as religious weapons to drive performance. We don't do either here. We are these are a set of things amongst many other things that we need to do. And we take them real serious. But we respect that the mission, the purpose, the values, the people, all of the organizational behaviors, all of that is what gets us to achieve the mission, not one of those things. And they're very interconnected. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a Libra, but I see the two extremes as wrong. And it's really the magic's in the middle of it. I in these new hire classes, every employee, I say, I did my part. I overly thought of the values, and then I changed them midway through the company. I, as an employee, will show up and do my best. I rate us about a 6 out of 10 right now, living our values. I haven't found a company that I would give a higher grade than us, but I still hold a high bar. And I then tell employees, if we're not living our values, it's on you. It's not on me, right? There are 25 people, 30 people, 50 people in this new hire class. It's on you you all, not me, to take this flag, and you must take it from day one. And I think that's been a good thing. And also invite people to call BS. Really good when you have new hires to be like, if you look at my values and you don't see us living them, call BS on them, which is a totally acceptable thing. And when you as a founder admit that like you're not perfect at living your values as a company, I think it allows for that active conversation and continued improvement on living those values.
That's about what I get from most people. You do it with a lot more energy and real clarity, but that's just part of your personality. John, you've shared with us a lot about realizing your company purpose, and I want to give you one more chance to say, what do we miss talking about here that you feel like is important in thinking about your purpose and living it?
Yeah, I believe deeply. The magic that we have in our company is that our business model sets us up to live our purpose, and our purpose sets us up to really execute an incredible business. That is, I cannot understate how important that is, because we have a flywheel that makes us a better business every day, which allows us to have a bigger impact on our purpose. And by chasing our purpose, it makes our business better. That is a easier said than done. And somewhat in us, I'm sure I can, with, looking backwards, connect the dots to tell you how smart we are. Some of that was luck. Others was like seizing the opportunities. But if a founder said to me, I want to be a purpose-driven founder and really have an impact, I would say you need to find the assets you have in your organization, find what's important to you, and find where your business model needs to be changed or can accelerate that, and connect those things. I have a guided marketplace. That is my business model. Success in my business model is finding consumer solutions. The number one thing that consumers struggle with in real estate is getting the attention and personalization to get the thing they need on their terms. And if you do that, you're going to end up putting more people that would have been disadvantaged and held away from home ownership into homes while building a very big company. And so there's no balance of power here. These things just go together. And if you get good at articulating them, they make each other better every day. I think that's where the magic is. Because if you don't, you're going to have a slow growing company that feels good but has no impact, or you're going to have a vulnerable company that for a while has impact but isn't sustainable. And obviously the goal is sustainable high impact for any purpose-driven founder. That makes sense.
Incredible conversation here about realizing your company's purpose. I really appreciate you being here, John.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gene.